Hi, this is Ann White with the Creating Calm Network, and this is Monday Morning Coffee. And some of you know I've been enjoying my Kona coffee in my very special Wonder Woman mug, which is right here. However, I'm out of Kona coffee. I'm out of all caffeinated coffee. Actually, I'm out of all decaf coffee as well. I'm just out of coffee. So I cheated, and today's coffee comes from a carryout place. It has an extra shot, a turbo charge to it, so it'll be okay. It's my iced turbocharged dark coffee. And maybe because I drink coffee, it's the chaotic part of my body, so I have to then create the calm within chaos. But that's the premise with Monday Morning Coffee. We share our coffee together. If you're a tea drinker, get your tea. If you are the healthy sort who drinks the water as I recommend and don't always practice, better yet, get your cup of water. And let's chat about this chaotic world we live in and how we can create calm within chaos. The world is chaotic, and it needs to be because that's where creation comes from. Think about a forest fire as it's a chaotic, it's a tragic, it's life is killed, whether it be animals or whether it be trees and underground underbrush. But when a forest fire comes through, it cleans out a lot of the debris, and then new life, new creation comes forth. Even in our own life, sometimes we have a breakup of a relationship or a divorce, and it seems like the whole world is chaotic. And yet, when we get through that, new life blossoms and new love blossoms, and we find a different course to pursue. Maybe we turn our journey a little bit different, and brand new doors open up. So, within that chaotic time, there is new creation. In my personal life, I've been thinking about this. I have placed myself in chaos my entire life, my entire adult life. When I graduated from law school, I became an international management consultant, and I loved it. I loved it like the air I breathe. And part of my job was to travel around the world and fix Fortune 500 corporations and set up seminars, and just it was just awesome. I loved it. And one of my gigs was in the Philippines. And I was there to set up a work with a world travel conference to show that the Philippines was a very safe place for tourism. This was in 1980. However, I was involved in an anti-Marcos terrorist bombing situation, and that was pretty darn chaotic, let me tell you. Once I thought I heard somebody banging on my door, but it was actually my heart was beating so fast and so loud in the chaos and the scary times with the bombing going on that it was amazing. So I had that chaos, and I thought, I better settle down. I just better settle down and find something a little more calming. So I left the big city. I left my international job where I traveled over 260 days a year, and I moved to the bucolic countryside of northwest Connecticut. Married a John Deere dealer, lived in a rural community, and it was wonderful. But when I went back to work when my son was a little older, I dusted off my law degree and volunteered at legal services. And what field of law did I pick up but domestic violence, sexual violence, child abuse? I was chaotic. Then I moved to Florida and thought I would get out of law, but the job market wasn't so good, so I went back into the practice of law and became board certified, not only doing domestic and sexual violence and child abuse, but now divorce and custody. Talk about chaos. So once again, I have put myself right in the line of fire, the chaotic fire. A little bit of my turbocharged coffee. So I burned out of that eventually, and when my son went off to college, I was able to get a different career. So what do? I go to seminary and become a rabbi. And when you are a pulpit clergy of any denomination, there's a lot of chaos in a congregation and a board of directors. So let me tell you, that was chaotic. I went from there to become a trauma chaplain at a level 2 trauma center in the inner city of a small Florida town. Nothing but chaos. So if you look at my path, I think I'm just an adrenaline junkie. I put myself in chaotic situations. I mean, I could have been a librarian. In fact, I was a librarian in high school, but it wasn't my job to be a librarian, but wouldn't that be kind of nice to work in a bookstore or to work in a library, or what would be a peaceful job? Think of peaceful jobs, but I've never placed myself in that situation. So what do I do amidst all this chaos? I challenge myself to create my internal sanctuary, my calm within the chaos. And I was thinking the other day, we've talked about internal sanctuaries before, but what happens when you have a challenge, a problem, a concern that you are mulling over, that you're fixated on, that you're ruminating about? The other day I had one. My hospital's been purchased by another company, and change in the corporate environment brings a lot of chaos, a lot of tension, and I wasn't liking one of the policies because it didn't make any sense to me. And I've got a low standard of what makes sense. I mean, if you tell me greed and corruption, that's the reason, I'll think, oh yeah, that makes sense. If you tell me, oh yeah, she's sleeping with her boss, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that makes sense. But this one, no matter what we told, I looked at it like a crystal, was taking, I have a crystal right here, so it's like taking a crystal and examining it to a light. And no matter how I examined it, I couldn't make sense out of it. And as I was ruminating and thinking about it, I ran into a wall barefoot and broke my toe, which, as you know, hurts like hell. I mean, it really does. I don't want to say H-E-double-L on the radio, but it brings, stars to your universe, and not the kind we like. And then I crawled into bed with my sore toe once I stopped the bleeding and splinted it, and I realized I'd crawled into bed with a stranger. The stranger being that darkness of something I hadn't let go, that challenge I was ruminating over and fussing over, and I was letting my concerns over that policy that I couldn't figure out be a burden, be a weight, and I hadn't let it go, as I so often teach and work as my own practice. So today I'd like to talk to you about what happens if you get something like that you just keep holding on to, that you really haven't let go. What's the best thing to do with it? And here's a couple of suggestions. One of the things is you don't ignore it, because it's there for a reason. So be with it. Sit with it for a while. Breathe it in. And take a good look at it again, like that crystal to the light, and ask yourself, why are you carrying it? Why have you been fussing over it? Why can't you let it go? And ask yourself these questions honestly, because it may show something about the situation, about yourself, that you need to know. Is there anything you can do to change that policy? Most likely, there isn't. So if it's something you cannot control, you really need to let it go. In this situation, there's absolutely nothing I can do to change the policy. The only change I can make, so we are never victims, we always have a choice, is I could leave that employment. But I actually like being a trauma chaplain, and at this point in my career, I actually need to continue having a second job as we're building the Creating Calm Network. And it fuels me to be a trauma chaplain, because there are times when I know I'm really making a difference, when I'm with a family that's going through a sudden heartbreak, when life changes in just the blink of an eye. So I do have the choice of leaving that job, but I am choosing not to do so. Therein is where my work is, because I am there at that job with a choice. I've chosen to be there. I can do nothing about the policy that was making me nuts. So at that point, I truly need to practice the serenity prayer and let it go. Carrying it, ruminating over it, fussing about it, does not do anything for my mental, physical, emotional health. It would get in the way of my sleep, and I broke my toe. So it does not serve me to carry it. So part of letting something go is to honor yourself. Breathe it away and just realize that you are so much better without that weight. Because carrying something we shouldn't is a weight for our bodies, for our spirits, for our minds, for our hearts. And that is the challenge I'd like you to take today, is look at your life. Are you carrying things that are weighing you down? Are you carrying challenges or things that you have just been fussing over? Are you angry at someone? Are you holding a grudge? Because you've often heard me say, those who have been following me, that holding a grudge or being angry is like swallowing poison and waiting for the other person to die. So let that crap go. But with each thing that you carry, be with it enough to understand why you have chosen to carry it for so long. Is it telling you something about yourself? For me, that situation, what it told me about myself is the fact that I like things to make sense. I want them to be logical, and I have, like I say, a big expanse of what makes sense and logic. Those who know me know my common sense is not very common. It's sense, but it's a little bizarre. So I'm real open in that, but yet I also know that I want to be able to understand why something is as it is. Even if I don't like the why, I want to understand the why. So that's what this situation, this little piece of sand that wasn't making a pearl, it was making an irritant in my life, told me about myself. So when you find out that you're carrying something, when I say be with it, first look to what it tells you about yourself. See if you want to make that change, and then determine that you need to let it go. Because it doesn't serve you to carry crap. It really doesn't. You are too beautiful, too special, too spiritual to weigh your body down with crap. We just don't need that. Because life can just be so exhilarating when we are free to just move through the moment, dance through the moment. The moment is where life unfolds before us. And stuff that we carry is either, I'm betting, you test me on this and see if I'm right, but I'm betting it's either past crap or future worries. Because in the present, there's no time to carry everything. There's no time to carry anything. It just unfolds, and it's absolutely beautiful and challenging. And even when it isn't beautiful, even if it's like a tragedy or an illness, it's unfolding to give us information. It's unfolding to transform us into another aspect of our life, transition us into another aspect. So, and sometimes there's that mourning and grief that happens, like in the moment as something unfolds and we lose a loved one. They've transitioned into a beautiful spiritual realm. We are transitioning to have a different kind of relationship with them, a spiritual relationship or a loving bond, but we've lost and we mourn and grieve the physical relationship. So when I'm saying that life unfolds and it's all beautiful, maybe I just need to say it's all life, because part of the beauty of life is also the chaos creation, the sadness and the joy, because we wouldn't appreciate the beauty, we wouldn't appreciate the tenderness, we wouldn't appreciate relationships if they were forever and ever and ever. We would take things for granted. That's part of being human. So part of what makes a relationship special is the fragileness of it, the fact that in a blink of an eye, that person we love could be gone. So it ramps up the current part, the fact that they are with us. It makes it even more special. And as life unfolds, then we need to roll and understand the duality of all that is life. Didn't plan to get quite down that road. I was just getting rid of a little piece of sand I had in my shoe. But think about things you carry. And before you just throw them out, be with them, analyze them. Don't be afraid of your feelings. See what it is that you are feeling. Acknowledge that feeling. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to feel a little grudge. What's not okay is to carry it, because then it weighs you down and becomes a negative weight on your body. So allow all of those feelings to be when you find yourself, wrapped in some kind of a snit. Allow all of those feelings to be, understand them, and then let them go. Because I know you would rather live your life vibrantly and beautifully than carrying weight. And you can hear my dog barking in the background, snappy little thing. She is a peekapoo, and I'm sorry she's barking. I can cut it out on radio. I don't know how to cut it out on TV. So just as I sip my coffee with you and bid you a beautiful week, let me just power up with my turbocharge. Apologize for Lexi. I have 3 rescue dogs. Lexi is a 12-year-old peekapoo from a puppy mill, and then I have Simmentoff and Mazeltoff. In the dog world, I'm going to just take you down another path if you have a minute. In the dog world, as a rescuer, I thought that I would never want to own 2 breeds. One, and I have nothing against these breeds, because I don't think breeds in themselves are bad. I think people raise different animals different ways. But I thought I didn't ever want a border collie because they're so smart and they just need so much stimulation because of their intelligence. And excuse me, I really never wanted a pit bull just because working in a trauma center I see the situations that come up with dog bites, and currently there all seem to be pit bulls. So I adopted 2 teenagers. They're 2-year-old girls. One they said was more of a boxer mix, one was more of a lab hound mix. And what do I have? I have a border collie mix and a pit bull mix. They're delightful. They're both awesome special. My pit bull mix is the most loving dog I have ever had in my life. She is, if you look up love in the dictionary, you will see Simmentoff. And my border collie mix is the smartest one. You don't hear them barking right now, but they can. If you walk by my house, you will hear barking. Anyway, I'm off the track. I'm just loving my dogs. Yeah, I just think that makes my life wonderful. If you are interested in having dogs, please rescue, please spay and neuter until they all have homes. Let's adopt. That was your commercial for the day. Have a beautiful day. Monday Morning Coffee, the Creating Calm Network. Join us. Let's make magic and mischief together. This is Ann White, and I have had a heck of a wonderful time just sharing my coffee with you. By next week, my coffee should have arrived. I've ordered I was going to say a lifetime supply of coffee, probably a month's supply of coffee. Have a beautiful day. Namaste and many blessings.